Hello, welcome to the live. Got the first viewer in here. How can I lose weight but still eat good food? Great question. So, just going into, I guess, what would be the definition of good food for you? Is it like the food that tastes good to you, or is it like more nutritionally dense food? Hey, kitten, Riley, welcome to the live. Happy to have you in. Sugar. So, how to be eating sugar? Okay. So the key is, and I gave this example in my most recent post. I had a client that, and anyways, just on the topic of sugar, I like sugar, and, ideally trying to cut sugar completely out for most people is not going to be sustainable. For this said client, this person loved Oreos. And I mentioned this in my most recent video. And how we did it is we prioritized that protein and fiber filled dinner. So, what that looked like was, I believe one of her dinners was some salmon, about 4 ounces of salmon, some green beans, and then she has some brown rice. So, that was high in protein, high in fiber, and actually high in healthy fat. And by the time she ate that, she was probably, like 80 to 85% satiated. So she was pretty full and she was in tune with her hunger cues. And I allowed her after that dinner to have 2 to 3 Oreos, which, let's face it, Oreos is essentially just processed sugar put into a nice cookie, which I love Oreos myself. And going into those Oreos with a level of satiation already, like she already felt pretty full, she would enjoy those 2 to 3 Oreos, which was probably around 200 calories of Oreos, normal size. I like to do Oreo minis actually, but besides the point, she was able to have those Oreos, really enjoy them, and by the time she was done 2 to 3, she was good. Like, she was good. She had no craving to have the whole thing of Oreos. I think the mistake that a lot of people make is you might get home from work or school and you're a bit stressed out and you don't feel like making anything, so you just go in the cupboard and you see a package of Oreos. And if that's the first thing that you're eating, if Oreos are the first thing that you're eating, and you're going in stressed and hungry, you're going to eat the whole thing without even thinking about it. And that's when the calories start to pile up, because these sugary foods, not satisfying, typically calorie dense. So that's why it's really important, prioritize that protein and fiber first. And then you can think about having some sugar after. And that will result in, you being able to maintain a calorie deficit while having those portioned amounts of sugar here and there. Tell me I have to lock in, find my workouts so I'm not too late. Lock in, Chella. Come on, what's going on, Chella? You gotta get going. Gotta get going, because I expect you to be sending me your workout. So I gotta see that later. Hey, if you can't find your workout outfit, then just show up in your normal clothes. You know what? Just make it happen. Make it happen. Let's go. Got my wisdom teeth out today. All food is liquid. I wish you the best of recovery with your wisdom teeth. Luckily, I only had my top wisdom teeth, and luckily they grew in, and they didn't really. I don't have any bottom wisdom teeth. Take after my dad, and they didn't really mess with my teeth. So I'm just vibing with them. Dentists have said, oh, you remove them because they're hard to clean, and they might decay and rot, and then they can cause infection. But I just make sure I give extra care to those teeth. What's a good measure too is someone who's prone, and this is kind of a side, but what was I going to say? Right, yeah, with teeth. So what you can do if you're someone who gets a lot of cavities, after you eat sugar, brush your teeth really quickly. That's helped with a lot of people that have a lot of cavities. Even baking soda rinses and stuff like that, like antimicrobial things, because at the end of the day, you're feeding the bad bacteria in your mouth. The sugar, those bad bacteria love sugar, even if it's in the mouth or the digestive tract here. So that's why it's important to replenish your system with, the things that it likes, like the probiotics. Even like coconut oil is good. A coconut oil rinse is good for teeth as well. What's going on, Storm? Welcome to the live. Big fan, Blue. I appreciate you. Really do. From the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. I miss eating rice cakes dipped in dark chocolate. It's like a crunch bar. That's I you know what? That sounds really, really good. And I've been having something like that. It's called Drizzlicious. So they usually like these mini rice cakes. 15 of them is 60 calories. Think it's super good. They come in so many flavors: birthday cake, s'mores, French toast, and they're essentially like dipped in some kind of like small amount of icing, so it's still low calorie, super good. I always get Drizzlicious. There won't be a time that you don't see Drizzlicious in my cupboard, except for today because I'm going grocery shopping because I eat through them like crazy. That's one of those things where if you just mindlessly eat it, even if you mindlessly eat the whole container of rice cakes, you're still going to be you're not going overboard at all. You're going to be still well within your calories because they're so low calorie dense. So, that's probably one of the only foods you can sit there and safely mindlessly eat and watch a TV show and has that good crunch. Any weight loss tips for teenagers, especially when your family makes super oily stuff? So I would say, especially when it's super oily, it can definitely be tough, but you ideally want to prioritize the protein, whatever protein option there is, and whatever veggie option there is. You want to prioritize your plate around that. And you're going to be getting a lot of fats in the oils, so I wouldn't, double down and put more sauce on top of it if it's already oily. So prioritize the protein, the veggies. Don't, add a bunch of extra sauce on it and fuel the fire. And hey, maybe talk to your parents about using a little bit less oil. I remember I talked to I remember when I was trying to like lose weight when I was in high school, and I was kind of talking to my parents about like, oh, I would always ask like, how much oil do you use? And they would show me, this is how much oil I use. And that's when you kind of get an idea of, oh, this is how much oil I'm going to track within, let's just say I was tracking calories at the time. So she would say, this is how much oil I use for, let's just say 8 chicken breasts you would put in the stove for the whole family. I had 1 chicken breast. So okay, that portion divided by 8, that's how much oil I'm going to track at in within my calories. So it's at least accounted for. Is it true that it's near impossible to gain if not? No, it's not true. It's not impossible at all. My ex-girlfriend actually had visible abs without issue. There is a genetic component to it. But I would say that every woman can get some form of visible abs. Some women will have way more visible abs than the other woman, but it's possible for everyone, I would say, to get some level of visible abs. Best thing you can do is weighted ab movements, not just body weight, but like actually adding some weight to it. So you go to the gym, there's like an ab machine where there's a weight stack, you put a pin in and go, and you can basically go like that. And why I say weighted is because there's a way to progress. When you do body weight ab exercises, they're great, but there's no way to apply the principles of what it takes to actually build more blockier abs. You have to build the muscle bigger and stronger. And how you do that is by adding more weight over time. So that's why I would say weighted ab movements are great. And then, of course, you need to be, low enough body fat until they're, visible. So that's going to require a calorie deficit. Hey, Coconut, welcome to the live. Like watching your thing for videos first thing in the morning. I appreciate that, Coconut. I'm glad that I can make your mornings more enjoyable. And I try to put my videos around the same time every single day. Sometimes a little bit later if I have a late start on the day or something pops up. But really appreciate your support day in, day out. Like I would not be here without you tuning in every single day, supporting me. My gratitude knows no ends. I'm so grateful. What should I add to my yogurt bowl in the mornings? I like to add berries, like berries or bananas or Kiwis are really nutrient dense. You can do apples, any fruit. Just pick a fruit that you like, add it into the yogurt bowl. I would add something like a chia seeds or pumpkin seeds or walnuts or almond, some kind of nut or seed for healthy fat. You can add a little bit of dark chocolate, a little bit of dark chocolate. It's pretty nutrient dense. You can add a little bit of honey because it can add up too. And you could add some protein powder, maybe half a scoop, adds a little bit of flavor, spikes the protein content. And if you follow that overall formula, you're going to be looking at a extremely nutrient dense bowl of yogurt that's simple to prep, covers a lot of your nutrient needs, and you're going to feel absolutely great after eating it. And it's not going to be as boring as a bowl of yogurt on its own, because you got to be out of your mind to sit there and eat plain Greek yogurt. Like, that's pretty, I couldn't do it personally. To each their own. I'm eating my fiber, blackberries, blueberries, raspberries for lunch. That is amazing. The triple berry stack. That is amazing. I actually have to go to the grocery store and replenish on all three of those, minus the blueberries. Actually, blueberries, I just can't buy good ones. I get them, I eat them, they're mushy. Like, it's got like that texture. I have a texture issue with blueberries. The flavor's fine, the texture's not, and it's just really off-putting to me. So, I try to do blackberries. Raspberries are actually my favorite out of the whole berry. It tastes like the Swedish berry candies. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. There used to be these raspberries it's a candy that I had as a kid. And raspberries taste exactly like it because the Swedish berries are actually raspberry flavored. So that's what it reminded me of. I didn't really eat raspberries as a kid too much from what I could remember, but really like raspberries, and are the highest fiber berry, or one of the highest fiber berries. So really good. I have chicken in the fridge. What should I do with it? You got chicken in the fridge, just like me. Add a veggie. I would add a veggie: broccoli, cauliflower, green beans, Brussels sprouts, eggplant, kind of random. I usually like to add some kind of veggie. That's my formula. And then I'll either do a potato, I'll do maybe a chickpea pasta, like the protein. I like the protein pasta. Some people in the chats are saying, some people in the comments are like, protein pasta sucks. Like, why do you eat protein pasta? I don't know. I've been liking it. It's not that much more expensive. Like, a box of protein pasta was like $2.50 for, I think it was like, or $3. And then the normal pasta maybe like $1. I guess that's triple the price, but for a couple dollars more, you can get a little bit more protein in the pasta, which is nice. So I'll usually get the protein pasta. Sometimes I'll do tortillas, like chicken in a tortilla wrap. It's really, really good. And then sometimes I'll just do rice too. Rice is super inexpensive. You get a big bag of rice, it's lasting you a lifetime. And it's, one of the most inexpensive carb sources you can get. So that's my formula. I like to do like protein, some kind of veggie, some kind of carb. I usually just throw the avocado on the side as well. Whatever it is. Even pasta, I will put avocado on the side. No joke. What's going on? Tila, welcome to the live. And then I did see your question there. I know there's a button on YouTube. You can just hit hi, hi, hi. And I love that. What do you eat first lunch? What do I eat for lunch? I would say I typically do some kind of egg. I would say I've been doing like boiled eggs with olive oil and avocado lately. Really enjoying that. Sometimes I'll put a bagel on the side too, because lunch is typically before my workout, just to get some carbs in. The exertion headaches was lifting sharp headaches over the course of 2 weeks. One of the doctor recommended no gym exercise, released to potentially MRI. I'm sorry to hear you're going through that. I struggle with something called migraine headaches, which are pretty bad as well. I would say with exertion headaches, you know, especially when you're working out, like, you got to be able to, you can breathe at the end of the day. If you're like holding your breath, if you're holding your breath, like, you suck in and then you're not breathing properly while working out, you know, we're not getting the oxygen that's needed even to the brain, to the working muscles. Sometimes that can play a factor into exertion headaches. Your hydration level too. I would be having some electrolyte packets in your water too, to make sure that you're adequately hydrated. And In terms of, working out, you don't have to push it to failure every single set. I think if you're one of those people who just goes ball to the wall every single set, like it's not needed for maximal growth. What denotes progress at the end of the day, of course, maybe sometimes you do want to push it to failure, but as long as you're increasing the amount of weight you do and reps you do over time, I mean, I guess there's four main ways that you can progress in terms of your training. And I mention this a lot to clients and just people in general that want to know, like, is my workouts working? And how you know that is, are you doing more reps with the same weight? Are you doing more weight with the same reps? Is your form getting better so you don't need to kind of use momentum as much because you're getting stronger? And also, is the weight moving faster? So if you were struggling on 200 pounds like this, and then now you're like, it's like automatic like that, indicator of strength gains. So those are the four main ways that you can kind of see whether you're progressing with your workouts, whether they're working in the first place. Shake my dreads? I don't have dreads. How can I lose weight as a kid? Hey, Island Gal. I'm not sure if I said that right. Sorry if I butchered that, but I really appreciate you and I see your comments. Thank you for being here. How can I lose weight as a kid? So it depends. Like if you're morbidly obese as a kid, then I would understand wanting, trying to lose weight. But for especially minors, it's, it can be a sensitive topic like weight loss and the exact ways to get there. And you definitely don't want to start these habits of these negative eating behaviors early on. You definitely don't want to do those. I think the best practice for kids is just, being active, finding an activity that you enjoy doing and moving your body in a purposeful way. That could be anything. That could be going outside and playing basketball with your friends. That could be swimming. That could be the monkey bars, There's so many different ways to be active and move your body. So I would say get some sort of activity 30 to 60 minutes a day like that, and then focus on protein and veggies and fruits in all your meals. So proteins are like the lean meats, uh, you know dairy, yogurt, milk, chicken, beef, steak, turkey, protein powder. Although I'm not sure, protein powder is usually safe. It depends, I guess, how young you are, but it's usually pretty safe. There's things like, beans, lentils, focusing on those things, and then veggies. I'm not sure, as a kid, you can be pretty picky. Like, I don't like, these vegetables and things like that. And I understand that. Uh, excuse me. Fruit, maybe prioritize fruit because it's a little bit better tasting. So like having some kind of berry, banana, apple, pear, papaya, watermelon, cantaloupe, like pick some fruits that you like to. Emphasize these things throughout your nutrition, and you'll find that you'll feel a lot better, more energy, and naturally your body will lose weight because you're shifting your nutrition towards more low calorie dense foods as opposed to, eating like a kid is like, eating a bunch of dino nuggets and a big thing of ketchup. And, while the dino nuggets do have some protein, they're typically really calorie dense as opposed to you just switch to like a grilled nugget or a grilled chicken. My sister had the absolute worst possible form. She starved herself to her max, but lately she's been eating a lot of sugar, possibly the only way. How to help her? Well, I'm sorry your sister is going through that. And, especially when it comes to these really like heavy, restrictive, where it's almost eating nothing, eating something is better than eating nothing, even if it is sugar. I would say it's all about gradual change over time. It's never going to be a complete overhaul, especially if this person is used to a certain way of living. To try and change that drastically will only discourage them. So, I would say just gently adding small things that are very digestible that she likes. Maybe if she likes sugar, maybe a vanilla Greek yogurt, for example, would be something to eat that has some protein, a little bit, and maybe a little bit of fruit. Like just gradually add more foods on top of the sugary things she's already eating. And gradually there'll be a transition of all sugar to, a lot more nutrient dense food. So it's just about a gradual introduction of these foods. Hey, Nico, watch your stuff for a while now, but trying to lose weight for the past 2 years. Any tips for a 7-year-old trying to lose body fat, gain muscle? Clearly, I'm doing something wrong. So, add a Q&A sticker. Oh, sorry. YouTube just recommended some kind of feature. The live YouTube lives are actually developing more features, which is cool. Just going back to your question, so trying to lose weight, not losing weight. I would say, especially like it's hard to answer that question, right? Because I need to know what you're currently doing. What have you been currently doing? What has not been working? I found when clients have approached me and I can see their lifestyle, they're just a few small tweaks away from seeing progress. It's just a few small things, whether that is, hey, they held a calorie deficit for a few like 4 or 5 days, but the weekends they would go haywire. And then we kind of address the weekends and then they were able to continue losing fat. Or it could be that their portions are just a little bit off. Maybe their plate is more so leaning towards mostly carbs, not enough protein, so we add a little bit, like say your plate's like 3/4 carbs and a small serving of protein and veggies. We expand the protein portion, the veggie portion, decrease the carb a little bit. You're still getting the same net volume of food but for lower calories. Let's just say you're drinking a bunch of your calories in the terms of, I don't know, iced coffees, and you're adding all kinds of things, or you going to Starbucks getting a frappe, um, and you're wondering why you're not losing weight. We switch to, like, I don't know, some kind of like cold brew or a lower calorie drink that's going to hit that caffeine kick without adding a bunch of extra calories. So small stuff like that. These small tweaks really do go a long way, I found. I'm doing good, user 36. How are you doing? How to grow a booty without growing legs? I would say you should just focus on just glute exercises. Glute kickbacks are not really going to stimulate much quad growth like your thighs or your hamstrings or your calves really. Barbell hip thrusts. Just just hammer out a bunch of glute exercises that are isolating the glutes, maybe like lateral band. Like if you get a mini band, put it around your basically put it on your knees, do like a lateral walk. You could do the abductions where you go like that machine. So just, focusing, prioritizing the glute exercises over every other exercise. Any advice for a 20-year-old girl that just started going to the gym? Yes, absolutely. So if you, with your goal with the gym, if you want to, a lot of women, they want to get more toned, they want to grow a little bit of muscle. Trust me, you're never, as a woman, you're not going to be growing as much muscle as a man. You're not going to look like a man because you work out. If anything, it's going to make you look more feminine per se. It's going to, accentuate those features that you want. So if you want, you know, rounder thighs, bigger glutes, things like that. It's really simple. Less is more. I would say pick, 5 to 7 good exercises that you enjoy doing, stick with them for 6 to 8 weeks, track everything in terms of your workouts. How many sets did you do? How many reps did you do? What weight did you use? And every time you go in for that workout, look at what you did last time, be like, hey, I'm gonna try to get an extra rep in, or hey, maybe I'll add 2.5 to 5 pounds. And if you progress that way and follow it through, you'll find that you'll see a lot more out of your workouts as opposed to just going in and doing something different every single time and not having any sort of direction. Yesterday, I started my goal of exercising every day and I did some yoga. Today, my legs are sore, I can barely walk. Should I still exercise? How do I push through the soreness? So, in terms of soreness and pushing through it, sorry, I just scratched my shoulder. Sorry, going back to your question. So you do want to, there is a line between, pushing yourself towards over fatigue. So because every time you exercise, there's some kind of fatigue accumulated. And ideally, going into the next workout, you want to be recovered from the majority of that fatigue. So, you know, this you just started, right? So soreness is going to be pretty prominent. So, it'd be safe to say that you can, go into the next workout and push through it. But if it's a little too overbearing, I would say, give yourself a rest day and then do it the day after and gauge it. But as you become more consistent, your muscles become more efficient at recovering, and you'll find, and basically recovering from fatigue, you'll find soreness won't become as much as a problem. So, it's just about getting through that initial phase, giving yourself some days in between if needed, if it's too much. Hello, I hope you're doing well. I was wondering if you have any advice about how to lose weight in Ramadan, the fasting month. So, yeah, good question. With Ramadan, it's interesting because there has been like studies in which a lot of people have actually gained weight during Ramadan, and it's the same things that really apply at the end of the day. Especially if you have this fasting period and you're not drinking anything either, too. So by the time you're like, oh, I can finally eat, you're starving and you're thirsty. So you're just gonna and if you don't like have things prepared in advance of like an overall plan of like when the fast I'm going to be eating this and that. I was talking to my friend, one of my I guess a former friend because I haven't seen him in a while, but he was telling me like, okay, when I'm just going to eat anything I want because it's a fasting period, I'm just going to slam two whole large pizzas and just go crazy with it. It's you go in with a plan like, hey, during this period, have it's just those principles like making sure you're getting a lot of protein, loading your meals with a lot of protein, because like how many meals can you realistically eat within the fasting window? So you are going to have to load it with, the majority of your calories for the day, but you do need to make sure that these meals are nutrient dense too, because the less meals you have, the more advantage you need to take of nutrient dense foods to make sure that you're meeting your daily nutrient needs. So you're going to need to accentuate a lot of proteins, a lot of healthy fats, getting a lot of veggies and fruits, and you could sprinkle some carbs in there as well. But if you follow that formula of like protein plus fruits or veggie and healthy fat, especially with Ramadan, you follow that schedule right there, and then you can pick a carb source too, whether that's a whole foods carb source, ideally, you're going to fare pretty well in terms of your weight loss. Thank you so much. Make you feel so much. I'm glad to hear it. That's what I'm here for. Love the non-judgmental, direct compassion, instruction. Appreciate that. You tried more than eating, movement. Should have down 9 to 10 pounds. That's amazing, Lorianne. Incredible progress, and really appreciate your support. And you're right. It's honestly for any goal in life, it really is about your mindset first. You need to believe and see that vision before anyone else does, and celebrate those small wins, especially if you're trying to lose 100 near 100 pounds and you're just starting. That is extremely scary. Like, how in the world am I going to lose 100 pounds? How am I going to change my life? I see these people online that can do it, but can I do it? Like, sometimes you feel unworthy of it at the end of the day. But just breaking down that 100-pound goal of, let's try to lose, let's just eat a healthy meal today and go for a walk. As something simple as that. And let's try to do that every single day this week. And let's try to lose 1 pound. And I've did this a lot with clients where we just focus on our daily objectives, our weekly check-ins, and those weeks stack up, those wins stack up. And the next thing you know, I have a client and I've done videos on him down 70 pounds in 5 months because we just stacked up those small wins. So that's why I'm really big believer in just celebrating the small wins. And the more that you have those wins, the more likely you're going to continue to be consistent and see it all the way through. How do I lose weight as a type 1 diabetic? Good question. It's really, honestly, again, very foundational stuff that applies to a lot of people. And it's going to be that formula of prioritizing your protein, prioritizing a lot of fruits and veggies. A lot of these things are going to be slowing digestion, allow you to manage, your blood glucose about a lot more effectively, your hunger. These are nutrient dense foods. They're satisfying. So, applying that protein plus fruit or veggie framework to, excuse me, to every meal and snack, even as a diabetic, and this is more important as a diabetic because I coach a diabetic, it's going to be crucial for you to actually be able to make sure, blood glucose is within that optimal range, and you're going to be absorbing your nutrients, feeling satisfied, feeling energetic, and all those really great things. You want a resistance train still, meaning, building some more lean muscle tissue, which actually boosts your metabolism indirectly. And of course, you don't want to skip out on just activities such as light activity like cardio, whether that be, walking on the treadmill, walking outside, swimming, doing some kind of activity that gets your heart rate up essentially. Because, weights does get your heart rate up, but it's more of a it's not, doesn't really burn that many calories. It's more so for the purpose of building lean muscle, and cardio is more so the purpose of training your aerobic system, training your heart, great for heart health, and also burning calories. Okay. So before I answer, I'm going to answer one more question. I just want to say, really appreciate everyone in the live. It means so much to me. I'm so grateful for all the wonderful support. If I missed your question, I apologize dearly. This VOD or this live will be uploaded. Might take till the end of the day to be uploaded. When you see it uploaded, you can drop your questions there. I'll be happily to respond to it. And then my recent posts, I look all my, when I upload a new video, my process is at the end of the day, I review all the comments and respond to them. So drop a comment too as well, or I'll probably go live Thursday. So you could catch me, or actually today's Wednesday. I could go live tomorrow or Friday, one of those days. You can hold your question until then too, because I like to go live at least twice per week. So it'd either be tomorrow or Friday, probably tomorrow, but it's definitely going to be another live this week. And now I'll just get into the last question here. So let's see here. I'm just going to pick at random because I'm really behind. Hey, Nico, I'm a 16-year-old girl and I'm struggling with my relationship with food and I'm in the midst of recovery, but I'm always scared to eat over 2,000. Do you have any advice? So basically, you want to be comfortable with eating close to 2,000. Whatever you're comfortable with right now, whatever amount of calories you are comfortable with, forget about 2,000 for a second. Let's forget about that. Hey, Layla, welcome to the live. Happy to see you in. Back to the question. So whatever let's just say you're comfortable with eating 1,400 right now. It's about those micro improvements. Let's add 50 more calories. And how you can add 50 more calories, it could be as simple as literally adding like 3 walnut halves. So that's 50 calories. That's a lot more digestible as opposed to, hey, I'm used to eating 1,400. Let me see how I can add 600 more calories, because that's really, especially with someone from your background who is in recovery, to add 600 calories all at once is quite overwhelming, quite overbearing, and quite frankly can actually take away from your recovery. So micro improvements, think on the micro level, because all those micro improvements over time, because recovery is not a race at the end of the day, will amount to something really, really awesome down the road that you can sustain. So that would be my answer to that question. Again, appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for all the awesome questions, and feel free to drop questions in my recent videos. I will respond to those comments, and you can drop questions on this live. And I just appreciate all of you so, so much from the bottom of my heart. Going to keep the uploads coming, going to keep this community growing. If you're someone who's looking for one-on-one coaching, actually to work with me every single day, I communicate with all my clients on a regular basis. You can apply, link in my bio, nicophysique.info, and we get on a call and we chat together. We talk about your goals and see if it's the right fit. And I will see all of you in the next live. Should be like tomorrow or Friday. And I hope you all have a wonderful, awesome day. And don't forget to eat your avocado.